Hey everyone, let's take a look at today's lesson. Today's thinking is how do we factor and solve quadratic equations? So we have factoring. Factor means to rewrite an algebraic expression as an equivalent product. We will need to undistribute the algebraic expression. So when it comes to factoring, what you are going to be looking for is GCF. We're going to be factoring using the AM method of a trinomial, or we might have an AC method of a trinomial. And we do have a special case of the difference of perfect squares, dots. So all of these scales are going to play a part when we're solving an equation, a quadratic equation. We will need to make sure we factor the polynomial completely. Once our equation is factored completely, we can apply the zero product property. And what that means is that we have a product of factors equal to zero, we can set each factor equal to zero and go ahead and solve. So let's take a look at example number one. We are going to be factoring completely. So factor the following expression. We have 3x cubed minus 48x. So the first thing that we're going to do is identify a GCF, and I do see a GCF of 3x. Once I identify the GCF, I am dividing that GCF to every single term. I take out the GCF and I am left with x squared minus 16. Now here in the parentheses, we can keep going. This is a difference of perfect squares. So we're going to take that GCF, bring it along, and we are going to factor that difference of perfect squares as x plus 4 times x minus 4. And there are my factors. I have three factors here. For number two, we are going to factor the following. So here, the first thing I notice is that the order is out of place here. So we're going to write this in standard form first. Standard form, recall, means that you are starting with the highest exponent and decreasing the exponents as you go from left to right. Now, at this point, we're going to start off with that GCF. If there's a GCF, you want to take it out. And here I see a GCF of 2y. Once I see the GCF, I divide each piece by the GCF, and then I am going to see what is left behind. So now I have a trinomial in which the a term is 1, the number in front of y squared is 1, and I am going to apply the AM method. So the AM method means that we're looking for two numbers that multiply to the last term. There's my m, but those same two numbers have to add to the middle term. And the two numbers that multiply and add to those values would be a -4 and a -8. And again, I have three factors here. We are not solving, we are just factoring, writing it as a product of factors. All right, last one, factor the following. We have 3x cubed minus 2x squared minus 5x. So here I do have it in standard form. That's great. We are going to take out the GCF, and we are left with this trinomial. Now here, the a term is greater than 1. So we are going to apply the AC method. Now, you can use the AC method in terms of grouping. I am going to show you a different way of applying AC method that you may have not seen in the past. So I am going to start off by multiplying the A term with the C term. But instead of writing 3x squared in the bottom piece, I am just going to write x squared. The second term remains the same, and the last term becomes that a times c piece. So I end up changing my trinomial from a trinomial where my a term is greater than 1 to a trinomial in which I can apply the basic simple AM method. So I am looking for two numbers that multiply to that negative 15 and add up to that negative 2. So the two numbers that multiply to negative 15 and negative 2 would be a negative 5 and a positive 3. So I am going to factor that. But wait a second. My problem was not x squared minus 2x minus 15. We simplified it so we can easily factor that. What our trinomial was that 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. So once I get my factors for the basic, I am going to bring back that 3 by dividing the numbers by that a term, in this case 3. And what we are going to do is we're going to see if we can simplify the fractions. If we can, we are going to simplify, and that would be my answers. But if we cannot, then we are going to bring that denominator in front of x. So this negative 5 over 3 cannot be simplified, which means that 3 is going to be brought in front of x. So my factor would be 3x minus 5. Okay, now here 3 divided by 3 can be simplified, so I'm going to simplify that as x plus 1. So I have the factors of that trinomial. Now do not forget about the original GCF, so I'm just going to bring it back in front. So this would be a different way of applying AC method. If you prefer your grouping method, you do that. If you like doing this one, then go for it. So for example, number 2, we are going to take those skills and we're going to actually go ahead and solve. So go one step further. So for this first one here, we have a 3x squared minus 75 is equal to 0. So the first thing we want when we're solving a quadratic equation is to have it set equal to 0. And I already have that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to factor this binomial by applying that GCF. So the 3 comes out. I am left with x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. But I can keep factoring, so I'm going to go ahead and factor one more time. Now that I have all my factors, I'm going to set each factor equal to 0 because the zero product property lets us do that. All right, so here is my answers as of right now. Now 3 equals 0 is false, so I'm going to just cross that out. We have our solutions, x equals negative 5 and x is equal to positive 5. So let's try number 2. Here we have an equation in which it is not equal to 0. So we are going to start off by setting it equal to 0. So move 2x minus 5 over to the other side. Once you have your equation equal to 0, you're going to factor completely. So I'll let you guys try that. Once you factor completely, you're going to apply that zero product property, which lets us set each product equal to 0. And then I'm just going to solve. I have a statement that is 2 is equal to 0, which is false. I'm just going to cross that out. So my solutions are x is equal to negative 8 and x is equal to negative 1. And the last one, we have another one in which we need to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to let you guys try this one out. This one will be an AC method, so you can try the way I showed you, or you can do your grouping method of AC method, and we'll just compare our answers. Well, here, once we set this equal to 0, we should get a quadratic that says 6x squared plus 19x plus 8 is equal to 0. We have an AC method of factoring. So I did my AC method, and with my AC method, I have 3 divided by 6 and 16 divided by 6 once I bring back that a term, which do both simplify. Whenever you are writing it as a factors, you have to make sure that you don't have any fractions. So that 2 has to come in front of the x, and the 3 has to come in front of the x. And then I applied that zero product property, giving me my answer of a negative 1/2 and negative 8/3. And that is all for today's lesson. So keep learning, keep growing, and I will see you in our next video.